All right, everybody, welcome back to this album review series of Steve Vai, his solo career. He's been in several bands and all, as we kind of talked about the last time. All the bands and acts and all the cool things he's done throughout his career. But we're looking strictly at his solo albums, which there may be one coming out soon. He's dropped that single, or a couple singles, in fact, and now a music video for one of those singles. So who knows? It may be a situation like when we reviewed Iron Maiden, where in the midst of, reviewing them, a new album came out, so we just tacked it on in, which would be super cool if that happened again. It's been a minute since Steve Vai's had an album, I think since like 2015 or 16 with Modern Primitive. But with that being said, we're now on to our second album, this time being just an EP, and he's got a couple of EPs throughout, I think, or really maybe just two that we're looking at through the discography, and this one lies right here. It came out the same year as his first album, Flexible, and it's called Flexible Leftovers. And this is with Flexible, I had the original cover, the 1984 cover, and the 1988 reissue cover. And now with this one, I don't happen to have the 84 issue cover, but I did get this. And but if I end up running into it or anything, which is kind of how I found the alternate cover of Flexible, the original cover of Flexible, then I'll definitely snag it up. But for now, this does for me. I like this cover better, anyways. I like the '88 reissue covers, reissue cover for a Flexible better too. But kind of weird looking, tugging on the heart. Looks like freaking bubble gum. It kind of has the same kind of art style, the pastel colors and all this as the full Flexible album. And also I gotta mention too that this like on Spotify and other streaming services, YouTube and a lot of stuff like that, because this album was reissued in like the 90s, I think, on CD and everything. Had a totally different cover again that's kind of weird looking, but kind of cool. And it had tacked on a bunch more tracks. But those will not count. Those are like bonus tracks. They were tacked on to a reissue. So those won't count. All we're looking at here is just the 8 songs, 4 songs on the inside, as it calls it, and 4 songs on the outside, as it calls side B on here. Kind of like on Flexible, called the first side Flex, and then Able on the second side. So pretty funny stuff. And this album here, it really just kind of follows suit to what Flexible was doing, obviously, because this is just the leftover tracks that didn't quite make the cut for the album. And I can definitely see where why some of them I could see why they I would be like, oh man, they maybe should put that on there. But some of these, it's like they're better left off the album. But we'll get right on into it. We've got You Didn't Break It, which is definitely one I could, I would be open to having, if you turn back the clock, to put that on Flexible to bump it up even more, make it better than it already is, even though it's a great album, because this track is freaking great. It reminds me, it's a lot like the Boy Girl song off Flexible, really upbeat, poppy, and it's got, Steve isn't singing on this one, it's apparently Bob Harris and Susanna Harris, so I guess, some folks that he knows. I'm not recalling knowing them. It looks like Bob Harris did drum programming on the record on a lot of, really just that song. So I don't really know who exactly he is, or either of them are, but they did a good job singing and harmonizing on here, much like the female and male vocalists on the Boy Girl song off of Flexible. They did a great job harmonizing and stuff on here, and this got a really catchy riff and everything. So yeah, You Didn't Break It. It's a really fun song, and just one of the best off here, if not the best off here. Then we've got Bledsoe Boulevard, or Bledsoe Beloved, and I'm not sure if that, I always thought it was Bledsoe Boulevard. I'm not sure if that's a way to, shorten the word Boulevard, or, because I thought it was BLVD, but I don't know. Maybe it's just Bledsoe Beloved, but or Bledsoe Beloved. That's probably how it's supposed to be said here. But yeah, this is a really, really cool one. Really cool instrumental that I love how, balls to the wall freaking crazy it is. It's just going all over with these cool time changes. Very Zappa-esque like most of this album is, and like most of Flexible is, just all over the place with a really, really cool trumpet that Vi's playing behind that makes it just have a really cool sound. There's even like a one part where a vocalist comes in there and just starts, singing over the right along with the trumpet and guitar, makes just a really cool sound. And like I said, it'll have like these weird time changes and stops, and then it'll just go right back into doing what it does. So really, really cool song. Definitely another one of the best ones off here. Then we've got The Beast of Love, which has Joe Kearney on lead vocals. Don't really know who that is either. And it looks like the Rantin and Raven, the people who sang on Flexible's boy-girl song, they're on background vocals here. I thought I heard them on there, but even though I don't know who they really are either. Just a lot of different characters on these first two Steve Vai albums. But this one's kind of cool and bluesy. This one reminds me more of a Frank Zappa song than possibly any of the ones off of even Flexible. The way, because Frank's got like a deeper voice, and that's kind of what's going on here. It reminds me a lot of Frank Zappa's voice. And this is a really bluesy and kind of jazzy track. Just absolutely love this one. And it's again kind of like it's got like a really funny part too. Like at the end, there's like these growls and burps at the end, like these demonic burps that happen at the end. That's like the Beast of Love burping. So it's really funny. I love a little bit of the comedy thrown in on there with like Steve Vai, like Frank Zappa's kind of comedy they do. So the Beast of Love, I love the bass going on there, which is Steve doing that as well. And I love the solo in there is really cool. Just overall, a really cool bluesy, kind of jazzy song. Then we inside one on this little EP with Burning Down the Mountain, which is a short little, just kind of acoustic strumming kind of thing going on. Really, really fun, quick track, I mean, it's not, I think it's like 2 minutes or something like that, so it's not long at all. But it's a really, it fits on the album. Just a kind of a cool little ending to that first side, just some acoustic, strumming around and playing with some drums. Then we, on this outside, or side two, I actually start having problems with So Happy, which is literally just, it's literally just, it looks like just Laurel Fishman, and just, I mean, it's weird. I mean, even one of the Stu Ham, which I know who he is, it looks like he's credited on here for unbalanced whiny midget vocals, and jailroom rape moans. And there's crying, puke, rain. I mean, this it's odd, and that's kind of funny. I mean, it is kind of funny of a track, but it's just not good. I mean, it kind of goes on too long, even for being a joke. It's like just saying like, oh, we'll be happy, and and not cry, and not. It's just, it gets really annoying pretty quick, and just all the screaming and chaos going on. I don't like that, even though I get like the funniness of it, and it is kind of funny. It just, I could have done with that being like a 30-second, little joke or something, because it wasn't working for me. I did not like that. Especially if you're blasting this thing, at like a 10 on there. And I forgot all about that song, so I was like, oh my god, I had to like turn it down. I did not like that. Then we've got Details at 10, which is another one that's just kind of weird and like not in a good way. Because if you saw my review on Flexible, I totally love like the kind of weird and out there like Little Green Men and all. Is like a totally, even though it's a funny song, it's good, and I can jam to it actually. But like these are just like nuts. Details at 10 it's the same thing, just going absolutely freaking nuts on here. Then we get Little Pieces of Seaweed, which is like a tiny little thing there that's got, again, just some kind of weird stuff going on, some narration and some screaming going on. And then Chronic Insomnia is what it ends off with, like this, just kind of some cool Vai noises, like them wails and stuff, just for like a couple of seconds. So I mean, that's not a bad thing either. Just kind of a cool little ending. But yeah, that's side two. I forgot. Like before, going into this listen here, that because I always remembered like most of those tracks off side one, and hell, to be honest, those bonus tracks they were tacked on to like the 1990 something release, a CD release of this with all those bonus tracks. There's some like incredible stuff on there that if they were in fact not bonus tracks, actual tracks on this EP, then, you know, it would bump this thing up and like as far as enjoyment goes. Because if you just take, I mean, pretty much that whole second side is just, it's awful. And it's not like they were trying to be good anyways. You know, like Steve was just like fucking around pretty much. And I get that, you know, kind of having some fun with it or whatever, but I just really didn't need to hear all that screaming and crying and just chaotic stuff going on. You know, I get the joke, like I said, but it's just good thing those were not put. I totally see why those 4 songs on the second side. I mean, really, Chronic Insomnia was like 20 seconds, and again, that one wasn't really a problem, but these last couple were a big problem with me. But like the first 4 tracks, I could totally see all 4 of them. Those are great, and I can see all those being on the actual Flexible album. But yeah, this little EP, so it's pretty much just split right down the middle of enjoyment. It is kind of a fun listen, even with the the side 2, the outside as they call it on here. It's interesting to hear like all the different stuff that went into all the different people who were involved in this. Just all these different characters. A lot of them, it's like we never even hear from them again, or there's a lot of weird stuff, both this and Flexible. A lot of different people all over them. But with Flexible, the album is consistently great throughout. This is just split right down the middle, which is kind of not a very good thing to be for an EP. If you're a short little EP, you better make it damn good, because there's not a lot of chances to prove yourself like on the EP itself. Not a lot of chances to really wow somebody on an EP. So I mean, hell, that's what a lot of bands, like a good example is like Slayer's Haunting the Chapel. It's like, 2 or 3 tracks, and it's just, they use those 2 or 3 tracks and just kick major ass, and just blow you away. That's a great example of an EP, and like, an EP I reviewed on here, Tool's Opiate, great example of an EP as well. Just great shit all over it. But this, half of it is just a major problem. And I guess Steve really didn't, it was like a generous thing for Steve even to release this, the same time as because most of the time, I mean, because he released this the same year as Flexible, and most of the time artists will hold on to all those like tracks that didn't make the cut or whatever until like way later down the road, which some of them he did hold on to, and they're actually like awesome tracks. That's one of my, which I'll talk a little bit about that, in the ranking video, like the bonus tracks, stuff like I usually do. On like different discs and everything, but those bonus tracks could have made this like just something else, man. But and so why he chose to hold those until way later, whenever he's already established, whenever he could have, I'm trying to remember this one off there. I'm drawing a blank off the top of my head, but this one on there is one of my favorite instrumentals that Vi's ever done, and it's just such a cool jammy sound to it. And if that would have been on here, and a couple other ones that were on, came out as bonus tracks for the EP later on, if they would have replaced them with like this side 2, maybe, to me at least, it seems like that would have been the smarter thing to do, because it'd be like, oh, I'm gonna wow some people with this EP to show them that I got some leftover stuff that is pretty kick-ass too, instead of just kind of screwing around on that side 2. But again, side 1. There's some awesome stuff on side 1, and it's this EP is, it's not a terrible EP at all, because again the first half just kind of makes up for it. But so it's kind of wishy-washy here, 50-50 pretty much on this EP, which isn't it's not the greatest thing because of that. But with that being said, it is an EP, and we're about to move on to Steve Vai's probably his most famous album, the album he's most known for, and his most acclaimed album, critically acclaimed album and everything, Passion and Warfare. And that's what we'll be looking at next time. We're exiting the 80s. He only had those 2 80s releases, Flexible and Flexible Leftover. So now Steve Vai, with this next album, he starts really, getting noticed a lot more. This is, of course, post Whitesnake, that David Lee Roth and stuff that he would go on and do. So it's after that stuff. So he's going to get more well known and, start pumping out albums like crazy throughout the 90s. So, anyways, guys, yeah, let me know what you think about this EP, and really, I want to see what you guys think about this second side. And is it just me that really gets on, because it really got on my nerves. But again, I love that first side, and I would love to hear what you guys think about that too. But anyways, like, subscribe, comment, and let me know what you think about this down there in the comments. Thanks.